What's up, everyone? Good evening. Good evening. As you can tell, I've got a different co-pilot this evening, joined by Rory. Mercer is out sick with the Rona Dona, so Rory's going to pinch hit. Although Rory's got the Rona too, so he's playing hurt. But I guess the draft just KO'd Mercer's voice, what was left of it, because apparently he's pretty bad off.
Yeah, he he may say he's over that pick that the Cowboys did. He's still not.
No, he's not. He tried to text me and tell me that after he slept on it, that he was fine with it. But then I started looking at who went after that pick. Like Linderbaum went after that pick, and Jermaine Johnson, the defensive end, went after that pick, and like there were a lot of good players went after that pick. And so I don't know. But
Yeah,
he's not over it anyway. He's not over it, but
he wasn't over their pick last year until they won Rookie of the Year.
yeah,
So
until he dominated. So maybe he'll change his mind. But anyway, welcome whoever to no one who's joining us. Bad takes and brown liquor. That's what we bring to the table here. So here's to your Alka-Seltzer, Rory.
I have no liquor, but I am filled
Bad takes
with
and
just about.
Alka-Seltzer.
I'm filled with just about every flu medication out there. So I want to see what's hotter, my takes or my fever.
Thanks, Pete and Nick at ATG Cast for letting me steal their show theme of bad takes and brown liquor. So that's how we like to open the show. So anyway, so right now we got this Bucks Celtics game going. The Celtics are pounding them. I didn't expect. Let's put it this way: I didn't expect the Celtics to pound them, but I knew this was going to be a 7 game series. Man, these are two good teams, and it's gonna take you 7 games to knock the champs out with Giannis, in my opinion. Although he's having a terrible half.
Yeah,
They're down 15 or down 25. Sorry.
When he goes and flips the switch, there's not much anyone can do to stop him.
No,
But,
not at all. You are.
but he can't go to the
right.
well all the time.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I agree. And he's getting really no other help. But last I saw, he was 2 for 11 with 4 points in the first half. He may have gotten a bucket or two since then, but that's not going to get it done. And Boston's shooting lights out. They got 65 at half.
That's a big hole to climb out of.
That's quite a big hole to climb out of. You got to do some legit shooting to get out of that hole. And 40 points at halftime this might be one of those like 128 to 91 game twos where it's like, all right, shake it off and go. So,
do you know if let's for Jrue Holiday, how much longer is this contract? You think?
I don't know what he signed through. I think it's coming up because I remember. I thought I remember hearing talk about that. On different shows about how what are they going to do with Jrue Holiday? Because they're going to have to.
They can't resign him, right?
I don't know what Giannis's contract situation is. So
he's super duper maxed.
Oh yeah, is he locked up though? I mean, he's not approaching free agency, is he? Okay, well as long as he's locked up, then I believe they'll get something done for Jrue. I don't know, man. Jrue might want max. They can't do that. I don't think so.
I mean, he's missed enough time to want a security blanket, so I can't blame him.
Right.
But if I was the Bucks, I don't know if I would extend it.
At least not for what he's going to want.
No.
I'm sure he's going to want some sweet cheese, and I don't know that Milwaukee's going to give him what he wants. Not if he's shooting like he is tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be an easier discussion.
Yeah, that'll be much simpler. That'll be a much simpler conversation that day. Yeah. So anyway, but just if you notice, my background's a little bit different in honor of May the 4th tomorrow. I was doing a little Star Wars theme. I don't know if you're into Star Wars, but I'm a huge Star Wars fanatic.
This is the May
Star Wars T-shirt action happening here. It's my buddy's podcast. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so tomorrow's Star Wars Day. So I did a little Star Wars theme for a sports podcast. So it may not be the last Star Wars reference made this evening, but we'll see. So now that you've slept on the draft, the Giants draft, how are you feeling about it? Even though you felt good that night, are you feeling even better?
Yeah. They they didn't do what I was afraid of, which is look a good draft in the mouth and then trade out.
Eject. That's a Cowboys move.
Uh, that's
They
that's a
didn't.
Knicks move, which is why
Yeah.
I was so nervous. I last NBA draft I was with Mercer, and we sat and watched in horror as we took one of the best drafts in years, and the Knicks were like, let's move down, let's move down, let's move out. No, you need talent.
Why? What was the reasoning?
They got a little too cute for themselves.
Hmm. Interesting strategy by the Knicks to trade out of a talent-rich draft. That's very.
I guess the idea is to get more assets to then trade for somebody, but then like
Who?
exactly, and
LeBron and Durant were the two big fish.
yeah. I mean, I guess maybe Dame, but he did not look good this year. I know he had a lot of
I
abdominal
mean,
problems, but
Dame's a legit NBA player, but is he that guy? Is he that dude? I mean, is he on that Steph Curry
is
Durant
he still
level?
that dude?
Yeah. I mean, he's hit some big shots in his day, but
Yeah.
like he needs to get somewhere with a co-star, or Portland needs to get somebody because you can't win one if you're the only star anymore. Those days are gone.
Particularly when you don't play defense. Just ask the
Right.
Jazz.
Or when your star player gives the ball up at the end of the game and forces Mike Conley to travel, and then the game's over and the series is over and your season's over and you're at the house. That was one of the most mind-boggling endings to a game I've ever seen for a playoff game. I don't know if you saw the end of that. That Jazz was it Jazz and Grizz? Was it that series?
It was Dallas.
Dallas. Sorry, Jazz and the Dallas series. I don't know if you saw the end of that game 6, but
yeah,
they got the rebound with like 8 seconds left. Come up the court, and Donovan Mitchell gives the ball up to Conley. And then Mitchell just stands at half court and doesn't move. And Conley penetrates. And then he kind of sort of jumped to pass and he turned and nobody was there. And there was nowhere to go. And so he traveled and turned the ball over. And then that was the end. That was it.
Speaking of falling from
insane.
grace, what has gone on with Mike Conley? Is it time to stick a fork in him?
I don't know. He had an awful quiet season, or I just wasn't paying attention. I mean, that's entirely possible.
I mean, his calling card has always been defense, and now he's just terrible at defense. So,
right,
that's
I don't know.
Kind of hard to have, especially when Donovan Mitchell, whose calling card when he was coming up was he was supposed to be one of the best defenders in the draft, and now you could score on him.
He doesn't pop anymore.
Now I get it; he's got a big workload and yada yada yada. But you still gotta try.
Would you be happy if the Knicks picked up Donovan Mitchell?
Yes.
Like for a big contract, like because the Jazz won't be able to. Are the Jazz going to give him the max deal when it's up? Like,
yeah, that car dealership ownership will do whatever it takes to hold on to him. I think Gobert will get moved though.
Yeah, he wasn't much of a help in that series against a more athletic team.
Well, especially since you play drop coverage and no one else is helping.
What? What do you mean help? What is that on defense? Do that here.
Look, he might be overrated as a defender, but he can't defend perimeter and the rim and tag the roll man and box out all at the same time.
And be the point center and run the offense.
And the way that he gets talked about, it's as if he's like Okafor out there, just like a garbage fire. It's like, no, if it wasn't for him, the Jazz would have maybe the worst defense in the league.
Yeah, he's the only remaining line of defense.
It would be nice if he could get a one dribble move. I'm not asking for much. Just a one dribble move.
I was literally about to say he doesn't give you much offensively, but
Yeah.
if you just give me 12 points instead of 6.
You can give me 6, just like if you could do it by not having to stand directly under the rim and catching rebounds. But like just one dribble, that's all I'm asking.
That's not too much to ask.
Clearly, it must be because
even a couple of hip bumps, dribble, maybe a couple of hip bumps. Mix in a hook shot.
Is Hakeem still doing those tutoring dream shake things he was doing in the 2000s?
So here's a funny question.
Yeah.
Why has Kareem been the only player to perfect that hook shot, to be able to shoot that hook shot?
Well,
why does nobody else learn that sky hook shot? Everybody's hook shot now is more of that jump hook.
That's a great question.
They don't release it from back behind their head. They release, from the side. But Kareem was, he would turn and just from behind the head.
And it would be impossible to block because that's like 14 feet up in the air.
He was unstoppable. That's why, he has the most points. That's why he's the all-time leading scorer. Because that was an indefensible shot. But nobody since him has perfected that. Why is that, I wonder?
There's a series that the Ringer does that J. Kyle Mann did about different like moves and their history, like the finger roll and stuff like that. And they had one on the hook shot. And they had an interview with Shaq when he was coming up, and I was like, he was talking about being a big man. They asked him, well, why don't you do any of the like the sky hook? And Shaq just thought that Hakeem was cooler. So I think maybe kind of wasn't thought of as as have as much flair as Hakeem's dream shake, and then people just stopped learning it.
Well, I did read I did see something where Rick Barry told him that if he would have shot his free throws underhanded, like Rick Barry did, that he would have shot about 80-something% from the free throw line.
I believe it.
And Shaq told him that there's no way he could ever do that, as ridiculous as that looks for his image, for his brand or whatever. He could never stand on the free throw line and do that little squat granny shot, even if it meant his free throw percentage going up, 30%. He already averaged, 28 and 17 for, a season on in his prime. So I'm like, man, what if he shot 30% higher from the free throw line? He would have averaged, 40 points a game.
It would have been Wilt Chamberlain crooked numbers.
Yeah.
Do you know Shaq never was rebounding champion? Was never defensive player of the year?
No, I did not know that. Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And
probably because he never gave a crud about playing defense.
Which is why Kobe, those two could never mix.
That's why it blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to get in shape on company time. Kobe's been grinding all offseason. So game one,
working.
He's in like peak shape. And Shaq's like, I'll get into it about game 30. I should be good to go.
There was
that's crazy.
There was an old website called Free Darko that would have articles, and they had an illustrator that was great, and they had an article about Kobe, and they had him making a ship in a bottle.
Oh, okay.
And that's basically who Kobe is for me. Someone who is like a craftsman who's always meticulously trying to get things perfect. And the idea that someone would have so much talent and would just decide, screw it, I don't need to work. I'm sure that was plain offensive to him.
Yeah. He probably regrets it in his older age. Like, I should have, why could I not have just, put myself in shape, made myself better? Because, early Shaq with Orlando, when he was
terrifying,
he was terrifying with the Lakers, make no mistake, but slimmer Shaq, but still beast Shaq for Orlando was like you said, terrifying. It was just
he not only was big,
people,
fast. fast. Was
Yeah,
was
he could
was
run up the
able
court,
to
dribble,
yeah.
had handle. Like Shaq was a different animal in Orlando. Then he went to the Lakers and kind of figured it out and was just the most dominant offensive force
Mhm.
ever. I mean, I know Wilt had a 100-point game and all that, but Shaq, in my
Look,
opinion, was the
Wilt
most.
was putting those numbers against people that were smoking at halftime.
Yeah, and they're like 6'1" was the tallest player.
Yeah.
But Shaq was just ragdolling everyone in his path. I mean, he
Mhm.
was unrefereeable, unguardable. You couldn't plan for him. In that 3-4 year stretch where the Lakers won three in a row,
Mhm.
and he was at his peak, like he was the most unstoppable force I've ever seen in basketball. And I'm a big Jordan guy, and Jordan's the GOAT.
Mhm.
Not even debatable in my opinion. But for that 3 or 4 year stretch, Shaq with the Lakers right there was just we won't see anything like that. I never saw anything before and won't see anything like that since. I mean, it was transcendent.
You don't think Giannis has
Monster.
potential of getting there?
Giannis could, but Giannis was not beast mode Shaq.
Mhm.
Shaq was just throwing people around.
Yeah.
Giannis skills you. You'll step out, he'll blow by you, or he'll jump shot you, whatever. Giannis will dominate you. You still can't guard. There's no plan
Mhm.
for Giannis. If he's on, it's over. Like
Mhm.
you just watch. Shaq was just if he got the ball on the block, you were done. It was dunk. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, he was just ragdolling. When they played the Spurs in the playoffs that year, when the Spurs had David Robinson and Tim Duncan, Shaq was just tossing them left and right. I mean, he just had no. This is impossible. This is impossible.
Do
But
you remember?
yeah,
Do you remember the controversy between Shaq and David Robinson?
no, I don't remember that.
Oh,
But that was right
s-
in my wheelhouse.
oh. So, uh, Kobe talked about this at Shaq's Hall of Fame ceremonies. Well, obviously David Robinson and Shaq had the big rivalry, including the one game where the Spurs knew that Shaq was going to be like the scoring champion that year, and they did everything they can to feed the ball to David Robinson just so that on the last
Oh,
game of the season that he
he
would
would get the
score
scoring
one more
title.
point.
Didn't David Robinson score like 70 points in that
Yes, he
stretch?
did.
Like in one of those games? Didn't he have like a
Just
70-point
enough to
game in
make him
there?
over Shaq.
That's right. I remember that now. I remember that David Robinson had a 70-point game in there during all that. Yes.
Oh, Shaq was pissed.
Yes. I remember that now. I didn't remember that at first, but now that you said that, I do remember David Robinson having a game like that. We had like
Well,
70 points to
the
win the scoring championship.
the big controversy is that Shaq used to say that growing up in San Antonio, that he went to get an autograph from David Robinson and blew him off. So he would always he would tell the locker rooms like, when I was a kid, David Robinson was mean to me. And Kobe talked about it like during his Hall of Fame. Turns out he made the whole thing up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah! Shaq, you guys, a funny guy.
He's a funny guy. And he
He's a
later said,
funny guy.
my bad, guys. I just needed to get motivated and needed to
Yeah.
motivate the team. I'm so sorry I slandered you, but
It's like Jordan making up motivation for
mhm.
if you watch The Last Dance, George Karl blew him off in a restaurant. So he was like, all right, well, I'm gonna slaughter the Supersonics now because George Karl blew me off in the
Mhm.
in the restaurant. So he made up his motivation there. Then they were talking about comparing him to Clyde Drexler in that Trailblazer series. So that ticked off Jordan. So he made up the motivation there that they compared Clyde Drexler to him. Like he said,
They
I took
deigned.
offense to that.
Yep. I
He
took
said
it
Clyde was a
personally.
threat, but I took offense to that. He said, I'm not saying Clyde wasn't any good. Clyde was a threat, but I took offense to that. And I was like, that's MJ for you.
Uh,
Taking offense to anybody comparing to him, taking offense.
Speaking of MJ and the Sonics, do you think that Sonics was the best team to never win a ring?
It would have to be between them and, well, of course, the 73-9 Warriors that
That one.
lost to the
Yep.
Cavs after being up 3-1. That would probably be the best team to never win it. But that was a loaded Sonics team. But those Jazz teams were loaded too.
Yeah, that's
The Jazz would have had 2 rings in any other
time
decade,
period. Yeah.
any other window other than Jordan.
hmm
You know, I think my Steelers would have 2 more rings, except we got Brady'd twice. But I believe that the Steelers would have 2 more rings. That Ben would have won 4 rings in his career, but we just happened to be in the Brady window. And, Brady went to 10 Super Bowls in 20 years. I mean, it's like there's no room for anyone else.
If he was at a different conference, then you guys would have seen him a lot more and had a better shot
he was
then.
Right in the AFC. So the only way to do anything was to get through Brady.
And Peyton Manning was always there.
Although Manning wasn't a good playoff performer, he was an average playoff quarterback. I think he has I think if not for that last Broncos run where he was more of the handoff guy and
when
wasn't
he was
really
a
worth
shell
a
of
flip.
himself.
When the defense, when Von Miller was wrecking everybody's season, he just on that run got a winning playoff record for his whole career. But up until that point, he was under 500 as a quarterback in the playoffs, and that's mind blowing for somebody with as good as he was to be like 10-12 in the playoffs until he had that run, and then he wound up a little bit over 500, something like that. Maybe not exactly, but something like that. But for the longest time, he had a losing record. I couldn't fathom that. But Brady kept getting Brady'd. That's some epic battles. He beat him a couple times, but he lost to him several times, and that adds to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's funny about David Robinson, though, because I do remember him scoring 70 points.
Just to annoy Shaq.
3 for 13, just to annoy Shaq. Yeah, Giannis is 3 for 13 in the game tonight. So they at least they got game 1. So the Bucks got a split. The Bucks are my pick to win it all. I picked them to repeat. I think back to the start of the season. I thought as long as Giannis and Jrue Holiday and Middleton stayed healthy, they were gonna repeat. But of course, Middleton goes down. But they had to get a game in Boston, and they did.
Yeah, that's
not tonight
huge.
Though.
Yeah.
Not going to be 2 games in Boston, at least not tonight.
And, I think they're good enough to steal some games in Boston. Their coach, I don't trust at all. Udoka, I like him. I think he is an up-and-coming coach. I think he, his years with the Spurs really, you can tell, has shaped his philosophy.
Sure.
But I think they're vulnerable there. They're a real emotional team. I guess that's Marcus Smart will do that to you. So if they start fouling early, if they start getting into a hole, you can steal one from them.
Yeah, you're right. They had to get at least one. The Bucks need to at least get a split out of the first 2, and so that looks like they got that one, and they're just kind of going through the motions tonight because they're getting whipped.
We're done. We can go home.
Nah, we're fine. Giannis went home at halftime. They just said, you know what, just fly on back to Milwaukee.
Not worth the risk.
After Embiid took one in the face when he was in the game and they were up by 30 the other day, and totally derailed Philly's season. Just fly on home, Giannis. We'll be fine. We'll see you. Yeah, what's today? Tuesday. We'll see you Thursday night in Milwaukee. Just get some rest.
Not only did Doc Rivers ruin the season, he is doubled down on DeAndre Jordan as the answer, and I am here for it.
He thinks this is Lob City. He's trying to bring back Lob City.
Yeah, this ain't 2012, buddy.
That's right. That's right. Blake Griffin and healthy knees aren't walking through that door.
Look, I know you and DeAndre, you go back, you had connections for a long time. You once trapped him in his own house and barred the door so he didn't sign a contract with another team.
True.
That was 10 years ago. He
he
hasn't
wasn't
been
that
good in
good then.
5.
He wasn't that great then.
Yeah.
Well, it must be the year for former Clippers because, like, the Nets tried to roll Blake Griffin out there, and now the Sixers are rolling DeAndre Jordan out there in meaningful minutes.
Mhm.
Chris Paul's still balling, obviously.
Well, he's
but
the point guard.
he's the point guard. But
He's
Doc
still
Rivers, it's like
there's
our 2012 Clippers littered all over the playoffs.
there's still plenty of time for him to get his postseason injury, but right now Chris Paul is going for it. He's my sentimental favorite. I hope he gets his ring.
Yeah, I would like if the Bucks don't win it and the Suns did, I would, not that I'm like emotionally attached to the Bucks. I just picked them, so I want to be
Yeah.
able to say, yeah, I called it all along. I knew it all along. But if the Suns won it, I would not be upset. I'd be happy for Chris Paul. I like Chris Paul, even though he's dirty.
Yes.
He likes a nut tap opponents here and there, but other than that, I like Chris Paul. I would take him on my team. I remember how ticked off Kobe was that Stern vetoed the trade that would have brought him to the Lakers, and then like a half an hour later, he got traded to the Clippers.
Yep. And
Kobe's like, Stern, what are you doing? Like, David, come here. Let me talk to you for a second. See, when the Lakers are good, NBA make money, more money. So you veto a trade that puts the point guard next to the Mamba. If the Lakers are bad, the NBA is not good.
and if you look back at the package, the Lakers package was better.
Yes.
But
I mean,
Dan
I say
Gilbert,
the NBA is not good, but it's better when the Lakers are relevant.
correct. But Dan Gilbert, cried and sent a letter. So
Gilbert and those letters, good Lord.
well, hopefully this one wasn't in Comic Sans.
Yeah, when you're going to send a serious letter, it's always good to use Comic Sans.
It really drives home the professionalism.
You're right. That really exudes the professionalism of your organization if you shoot him a quick letter in Comic Sans.
Golly.
Yeah, that's no good. Milwaukee's still in the 40s. Bless them. It might be a wrap for them tonight, as Mercer would say. It might be a wrap. He picked Boston. He said Boston run through Milwaukee in this series. I think the perception of Boston might be elevated because they swept the Nets, but the Nets are a dumpster fire.
Yes.
So the Boston hype, I think, might be a little falsely attained by beating an overrated Nets team just because of KD and Kyrie, but that team was a dumpster fire.
Not only are they overrated because of KD and Kyrie, this Boston team is perfectly designed to ruin that Nets team because what's the knock on KD? How's the best way to defend him? It's
get physical with him.
Yeah, ever since Texas. And this was a team that could get in him, get under him, move him off his spots.
Yeah, bust him up.
Yeah. And they had the perfect game plan for him. And then Kyrie, turns out, sitting out the year, you're not going to be as sharp as you think.
Imagine that.
And your other cornerstone not playing might be a problem.
Yeah. Well, Harden quitting on the team, and I mean,
Harden looked around and said, "Hold on, guys, what are we doing here?"
I'm going to send a letter in Comic Sans demanding a trade.
I think another thing for Harden is that he wants a ring bad.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the fact that Giannis got one before he did.
And not only did Giannis get one, like he dominated. He was the best player. He carried that team to the championship. He was the MVP. Did he win? He won MVP of the finals, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like he was that guy. So Harden is watching Giannis just not coattail to a ring, but lead, like dominate to the ring.
And remember before that,
One ring to rule them
those two
all.
were beefing. Where Harden said that Giannis has no skill,
Yeah.
all he does
Yeah.
is jump.
Yeah, if I wish I was 6'10", or what do you say? I wish I was
Yeah.
6'11", and all I had to do was dunk or something like that.
Yeah. And now, I think he
Giannis
looks
is-
around and he knows he doesn't have too much longer being the difference maker that he is now. And he's like, I'm
Yeah.
on a team with a guy with Kyrie Irving, who's a whole can of worms.
Right.
And
Which
then
Kyrie are you
KD,
going to get today?
yeah.
You never know. You
And
might get
then-
multiple ones in one day. You just don't ever know.
Yeah. So I'm not sure going to a team coached by Doc Rivers was better, but it was. I can see where him thinking like, "Oh, Embiid's got me."
Yeah, not anymore.
Uh,
Like, this is the series now. There's nobody else. So Harden needs to shoot it
Yeah.
40 times. Just shoot. Just shoot. And distribute all day. That's it.
oh yeah, shoot wide open passes to Thibault in the corner. Thibault
Sure.
breaks the shot.
Brick. Yeah.
Brick.
So, all right. No, you're out, Thibault. That's it. Gone.
Yep.
I'm just going to drive to the hole. Try to draw a foul. Do that little thing where he goes between his legs a bunch of times and then step back three. I mean, just pull all the old Harden tricks out. You got to try something.
Uh-huh.
Alert. The Bucks are now in the 50s.
Oh. No, like 50 degrees or
No, 50 points. You believe that? There's only 6 minutes left in the third quarter, or 7 minutes left in the third quarter, and they just hit the 50 mark.
what an offensive, powerhouse.
When I was a kid, when I lived in Idaho, in Boise, Idaho, my dad and I would go to the Boise State basketball games.
Mhm.
We had season tickets every year, and if the team held the opposing team under 50, your ticket stub got you a free combo at Wendy's, at the local
Yeah.
Wendy's there in Boise. So they call it the Wendy's Under 50 Club. So they got that for the first half. Boston got that for the first half. So I wonder if they can turn their tickets in at halftime and get a free drink for the under 50 points at halftime. They got 52 right now.
For Philly, what are they going to do with Tobias Harris?
He's due to get paid, isn't he?
Well, I think he's still got a couple years on his contract, but I think they're spending like $40 million on what is essentially a power forward that shoots threes. It's like, that's too much money for what you're using him for.
Yeah. Are that what they're paying Tobias?
They sent 2 first-round picks to pick him up, and after that, like 2 first-round picks, and then his contract expired, and he's like, I have all the leverage here, bud. Pay up.
Who'd they get him from? Who was he with before?
The Clippers.
Ah.
Yeah, he was with the Clippers team that was like this Frankenstein of like SGA.
More Clippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
SGA, and then like
was this the Doc Clippers still?
This is after the Doc Clippers.
Okay.
This is like all the
Ty Lue Clippers.
I guess maybe it was like the last year of Doc, but it's
Was
like
Ty Lue right after Doc. There weren't anybody in between, right?
not anyone that I remember in
Okay.
this moment. There might be, but
I don't think so. I think Ty got the gig when Doc left for Philly.
But yeah, they chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, and I think that was they might regret that one.
Buckets. Although Butler's on his 4th team.
Well, that's because he's a jerk. Let's be real here.
Although Miami seems to like him, so he seems to fit in South Beach.
Well, because Pat Riley is a jerk, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Birds of a feather.
yeah."
Yeah. It's like Pat Riley's a jerk.
I mean, you don't quit on
Yeah,
your
didn't
team
he
via facts. If
Didn't
you're
he fire the Heat coach like halfway through the year, and he took over that year that they won it, or demoted him or something?
yes, the head coach mysteriously had family issues, and then Pat Riley stepped in and then led him
Who was
to
the coach? Who was that coach?
it was one of the Van Gundys. I can't remember which one.
I think Stan Van.
Sounds about right.
It may have been JVD or JVG, one of the Van Gundys.
I mean, they're they're both riding the coattails of Jeff's
Yeah,
success in New York.
yeah. Uh, Hooked on to Zoe's leg or LJ's leg. Was it Zoe's ankle that he was holding on to
It
during that
was
brawl?
it was Zoe, and
But Zoe was on the
he
Heat, wasn't he?
yes, and he was trying to separate them, and he looks like my 5-year-old nephew has like these little toys, like these little monkeys that have like Velcro hands, and that he likes to like
Yeah, you can
attach to
flip them
different
around
stuff.
and stuff.
It
Yeah,
looks like one of those Velcro monkeys around the ankle being dragged behind him.
that's right. That was one of the classic moments. Was Van Gundy getting drug across the floor like that, and
Oh
Zoe
yeah,
looking down like, "What in the heck? Somebody's kid jump on the floor?"
I,
Yeah, that was a good old days. I miss
oh
Van
yeah,
Gundy although Van Gundy's good calling games, so I like him. I like him on ESPN because you get to hear him the whole game. He's
just be
pretty entertaining.
exasperated the whole time.
Yeah, he's pretty entertaining. Him and Mark Jackson and Breen are the best combo. I think I like listening to them.
Um, do you think Mark
Mm,
Jackson
good
is
call.
ever going to get another coaching gig?
I don't think so, but he should.
Yeah,
But whatever happened in Golden State
that's a
was
whole yeah,
so bad that he's been passed over for every job ever since.
yeah.
And if not for him, I don't think you have the Golden State run of 3-5 that you had. I
No,
think
yeah,
Mark Jackson was a huge part of that, teaching those guys what it was to be
a great
a big
defenders.
time
Yeah,
performer, and when it mattered, like instilling that dog in them. And then whatever happened, they got rid of him, and then Kerr kind of finished it off. Led him to the promised land. But it's almost like Mark Jackson was the Buck Showalter in that situation. Showalter got missed out on the Yankees run, and then missed
mhm,
out on the Diamondbacks World Series. It's like, yeah, it's almost like they needed Mark Jackson to teach them what it was
uh-huh.
to be a basketball player, and then Steve Kerr to put a system in place that maximized their skills and built the team, around Steph.
He reminds me of Tony Dungy in Tampa Bay,
Yes.
where for
Yeah.
years Tampa Bay was a laughing stock of the league.
The Succaneers, baby,
With those horrible creamsicle jerseys.
which we all love.
Oh, forever. Um,
The Tecmo Bowl jerseys, baby. That's what those were.
oh, buddy. But he came in and he uh, built on the talent and taught them, that Tampa 2 system and
Right.
really like got them to defend. And then John Gruden came in and then won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah. Except Dungy got another job.
Well,
And Mark Jackson, for whatever reason, cannot get a job. I mean, would he not be the perfect coach for the Brooklyn for a team like that with just a bunch of all that junk? But
well, no, he would hold them accountable.
right, like
That's why they chose Steve
gonna,
Nash.
Yeah, yeah. We don't need a coach. Remember when Kyrie KD said that in that podcast?
That was that's when I knew that this was
Yeah,
never going to go anywhere.
yeah. I'm
Because
with you.
when LeBron first came to the Heatles, when the Heatles first formed, they wanted to get rid of Spoelstra. And
Yeah.
LeBron wanted to get rid of Spoelstra, and then Pat says no.
Spo been there a good minute.
Yeah, he's been there. He wasn't. So 06 was Pat. Did he take
Yeah.
over in
I
06?
think Spo
after
took
that?
over in 07
Yeah. So
because the Heatles were like 08, weren't they? Or was
yeah.
07 the first Heatles year? I think 08 was the first Heatles year.
No. 08, the 08 was the Celtics winning the championship.
Yeah.
So it was that Lakers. So then that would be 10.
Okay. Okay. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Be-
I'm way off. You're right.
I mean, pandemic time has ruined all concept of like what was before.
What was when? Yeah. I was several years off. Yeah, you're right.
As they say in Mad Max, that was the before times.
Before times. Hey, Mad Max, that was a fantastic franchise, by the way.
Yeah.
Fury Road was one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. If you haven't seen Mad Max Fury Road, whoever's not listening, go see it or watch it. It was fantastic.
On Amazon, they have the silver and chrome version, which is all black and white.
Oh,
And
cool. Of Fury Road?
Of Fury Road. It's incredible.
Oh, cool. Ooh, I gotta give that a watch.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
I love that movie.
Oh, it's just the best. I love Road
Flaming
Warrior.
guitar flamethrower.
When they were making that prop, they brought it to the director, and he's like, "That's cool and all, but can you really play as a guitar?" It's like, "No, not really." He's like, "Come back when you can."
Really?
Oh yeah, so you can actually use that as a real guitar.
Man, that whole setup on that truck with all those speakers and that guy just hanging there.
The Doof Warrior, as he's called.
Like that flame shoots out. What's he called?
The Doof Warrior.
Well, he shreds.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, that movie's awesome. Uh-oh. Milwaukee's up to 56. Cut it to 16. 25 down to 16.
Might
If
they
the Bucks
even hit
come back and pull
60?
this off, it's over for the Celtics. I'm just telling you that right now.
Yeah, if they somehow pull it off with Giannis home, like if Drew Holiday goes bananas, if Grayson Allen goes off, if
Grayson Allen.
He gets a lot of hate.
He can play.
He should get more. But
he had like 27 the other night. Like he went off the other night, so I was like, okay.
Kid can ball. It's unfortunate he looks like Ted Cruz, but the kid can ball.
He looks like Ted Cruz. He does. He does look like Ted Cruz. All right, well, Rory, my friend, we're going to wrap this thing up right here as the Bucks are making their comeback. We're going to go give this game a watch. Dude, thanks for coming on and pinch hitting. I know you're not feeling up to it, but I appreciate you coming on, and that way I didn't have to host by myself, which I was going to do. So whoever doesn't listen to this was spared a bunch of Star Wars talk because I was probably going to go on a big Star Wars talk if I was by myself. So thank you for coming on and pinch hitting, playing hurt. I appreciate it, my friend.
Always happy to talk sports with you.
I hope you'll join us again next week when we fire up next week. So
sounds like a plan.
Anyway, be good, my friend. Rest. I hope you get better. Don't mess around.
Knock on wood.
Ben.
All right, have a good one.